we left with everyone, even including our parents. The impression they had was like, oh, we have jobs, we have a place to stay, when we didn't have anything. The more I planned, the more like it seemed like things were falling apart.
Big talk behind your little screen. You're the man in town, wanna make a fool out of me. Gave you all that I am, wanna make a fool out of me.
And that's why when I hear people complain or whine, I'm like, you can't tell me shit. Because whenever you want to do something, you'll figure it out. You just grit down and you figure it out.
No escape. Hey, nobody can save you, nobody.
This is an important venue for you, right?
Yeah, it's become kind of like home here when it comes to musical venues for me. I've done several shows here. It always has that homey feel for me. Obviously growing up and one of my genres, my favorite genre is being rock, like I've known about this spot. So in many ways, like coming out here from Waco, Texas, it is a dream come true to be able to do it successfully also. So I'm excited that I've been able to like expand my own career, find myself as an artist here.
Was this your first solo show? One of your first?
Yes,
shows?
It was my first. Yeah, so when I decided to do my solo career, I just was like, I booked a headlining slot right off the bat. And I was like, we're doing this. And it turned out to be great. I was so nervous. I was somewhat scared, but the turnout and the reception was great. So again, man, I really do love this venue. I feel at home here. You know, as a young kid, as a kid in general, I felt like there was a lot of pressure from my parents and my family to really succeed academically. And it really didn't bother me, to be honest. I felt challenged to meet those standards. And I think too, what helped me put that in perspective, almost every Christmas when my family would go visit family in Mexico. A lot of my family comes from a small village. And so I would get that perspective of, whoa, we don't really have it as bad as I think over here in the States compared to where my family is from. And when they would look at me and my parents would talk about me in front of me to my family, I could see everybody's eyes just shine. Like there was hope, right? That there was hope in me for our family to do something great, something that has never been done in our family before. For the most part, growing up, academically was always towards the top, as well as sports, while music was just kind of the last place, not because I didn't want to do it, but I really didn't have an outlet outside of church. And then, you know, eventually when I married my wife, and she was doing music, we'd been together since we were kids, basically. And I always believed in her and always felt like she would do something with music. And I fully supported that, and I fully supported her. And to this day, I you know, now we've been separated now for a while, divorced, but I'm gonna always credit her. She's the one who brought me back to music. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be doing music.
You're all over the place. I mean, you've been in Dallas and San Antonio and Austin and
Houston, and
Houston.
we go to Nashville soon also.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're lucky enough to stop here in Central Texas.
Yeah, we love our home place. We always love our home place. So like right around the time of, I had done some shows, some bodybuilding competitions. I started to really excel. And she started to really bug me about, hey, let's play some open mic nights. Let's do this. Because she had gone to school for music and she really wanted to launch her career. Like, let's do this now. And at the time, I'm like, nah, I don't want to do this no more. I hadn't played music in years. At church, they had shunned me, and they started to take positions away from me because I was very involved in the church, and this was my family as well. So that caused a lot of bitterness for me, a lot of hatred, I would even say, that it took me a very long time to overcome. So when she introduced this idea of music, to me, it was associated with church, and it was associated with this hatred and this pain and these people that I felt didn't care about me. They were so hypocritical. So why would I want to do music? I didn't want to do it. But she kept on insisting and bugging me, and finally I was like, just so she could leave me alone. I was like, fine. Working out, thank God for working out. I've been working out since I was 13. And through these times, and even now, my entire life, that some of the toughest moments, what helps me each day is just going to the gym. Going to the gym, and I feel like that's where I had always some sort of control over my life. And to face my demons, you know, that's where I could really face them, face my fears, and attack it. And I learned very quickly that the gym was more than just weights, more than just the physical aspect. And thank God also too for mentors I had inside gyms that taught me those things, taught me how to utilize pain, how to settle into it. And it was almost like a form of meditation. And I didn't want a fucking trophy, you know? I didn't want pats on my back. I wanted to win. And so I went all in on that, you know? And that's where I feel like it helped carry me for a long time when I felt like I didn't have any direction anymore. You know, I fell in love even more with the sport, with the eating, the regimen, the training. And I felt like I was starting to excel again. Because, you know, again, like I had gotten so used to excelling in everything in my life that my first few years in college, I felt like a nobody. Like I just started to blend in, and I hated it. So bodybuilding gave me like more life again. And too, to be honest, man, there is a pressure I feel, especially if you're involved in the entertainment business out here. Everybody looks great all the time, you know, like 24/7. For me, that meant like, okay, I don't want to be too big, because I think that was an insecurity. I wanted to be taken serious as a musician, not just be looked at, oh, dude, you're jacked or you're ripped or whatever. My first memory of music was brought by the church when I was a kid. And this was like around it had to have been when I was around 4 or 5, man, because they actually showed us a clip of the Thriller music video in church. And I think like that's the old school how they used to do it. And even in the 70s, right, they used to put records on. And for you not to listen to these demonic things. And what they didn't even realize is what they were turning these kids on to this music, you know? And that's what they did to me. So fast forward all these years later, and Michael Jackson passes away. And at this point, I'd been doing music just here and there with my ex-wife. That happened, and then that something happened inside of me that I felt like I woke up. And I felt like, you know, we can write our own music. So at that moment when I decided, through this kind of jumbled things of goals and haze and church and letdowns and bodybuilding, and then this happens, I went all in. I went all in on music. And from that point on, like, I can really say that I just began to really allow myself to go that route. You know, when I decided to move to Los Angeles, we didn't know anyone out here. But upon deciding that, we didn't tell anyone either. Because I felt like if I share this news right away, good or bad, I don't want people to deter me. because I know how friends and family can be. You know, they don't mean harm, but they're gonna maybe try to reason with you. Like, well, no, you know, or this or that, or plan it out. And I actually started doing that at first. You know, the year that we decided to move out here, the beginning of that year, I tried to plan it as best as I could. And it was frustrating because the more I planned, the more like it seemed like things were falling apart. So it kept pushing and pushing and pushing back the date to come, till I just finally told my ex-wife, like, we just got to go. We left with everyone, even including our parents. The impression they had was like, oh, we have jobs, we have a place to stay, when we didn't have anything.
Came to Cali with my guns strong. Came to Cali with my guns strong. Dirty Tony, yeah, I want some. All these fancy heels, these crazy thrills, you can take it, I don't want none.
You know, first moving out here with my ex-wife as Queen of Kings, I had such a hunger to make this happen, because I believed in us, I believed in her. And so I dove into all the aspects of the music industry, because that's another thing that I was going to make sure I was not going to be an ignorant musician. So we really did we grew fast, I would say. That eventually led us to us releasing what I felt was our best single. And we sold out a club, the Viper Club, to release the single. And then waking up the next day feeling so depressed and empty, you know? And not long after that, kind of the manifestation of all of that, and her and I just splitting apart for good, and her deciding to as well. And I say that with understanding today, man. I'd be lying if I say that I wasn't angry, that I wasn't hurt at the time. But like I said, there was beautiful moments that we had. And for her to make a decision like that, it took a lot of guts. It took a lot of guts for her to stand up for what she felt she needed to do for herself. After that, man, it's like, what do I do? The whole thing that I've known musically my entire life was with her.
All right. We just take it from the top here. I think we said, oh yeah, you're gonna kind of, I'm in love with the mean old bitch. I think you said you're gonna, I forgot what you said you were gonna do on the verses. Something about the hi-hat, right? Like open.
Oh, no. Space.
Oh yeah. I'm in love with the mean old bitch. She keeps me wrong, but I can't resist, so no.
That's when I had met Sharky. And not knowing what was to come, which is, you know, he's my brother, my confidant, my right-hand man today, man, and what we're doing now. But at the time, we met, and again, fate, or what you may call it, but I showed him these songs. I invited him to my apartment, and this was right before me and my ex split, so she was there too, and I felt so insecure, hovering in this chair with this guitar, like I was trying to hide away. Like, I really don't want you to listen to these songs, you know? But damn, I invited you and you said yes. Fuck, you came. I gotta really show you these songs now, all right. So I showed him these songs. And then too, what was a big challenge is I always felt my ex-wife was the star. I felt like she was the singer. So anytime I would sort of sing in front of her, I felt like I was like, oh, I can't do this. I felt judged, you know, and nothing against her. It's just how I felt. You know? So as I'm playing these songs to him, afterwards, I think it was like maybe 3 songs I showed him. And I didn't even show him the whole thing, it was just kind of bits of them. He goes, yeah, man. And I was thinking like, yeah. Like I knew like I could write, but I was like, oh, fuck, you know? So he's like, man, I like your songs. So, you know, after having made this decision, and then about a month after that meeting with me and Sharky, you know, that's when my wife and I split up, and I decided to go all in on this music thing, you know. And at this point, I had developed relationships with clubs and promoters. So when I told Sharky about what I was going to do, I was like, well, I'm going to put a band together and I'm just going to go for it.
Well, so the funny thing is during that season, I was so heavily focused on production that I was actually was coming away from playing drums and performing live as often to be in the studio more. And Jimmy is working on his band, his sound as an artist, him coming into his own. So the funny thing is, we were always boys throughout the whole thing. And it started off was like, man, like, I enjoy his music. And at the time he didn't have a drummer, so I'm like, hell yeah, I'll play with you, you know? And naturally it just grew. But during that time in that season, we needed, it was almost like we were still hanging out, still friends. But even him working with other people, him developing as an artist, me developing as a producer, and developing into the roles that we would be using right now. And so it's funny, it's like keeping that chemistry and that friendship and that relationship help with the music, you know? And that's it, man. We just became friends early, and the music just kept flowing, and then timing is everything, you know?
The gossip, you don't want none. Better shut your fucking mouth, shut your face, yeah. You can't ignore it, the way you are, huh? It'll come back around.
Figured out a hack. Because a lot of these rooms are shitty. So I actually, by accident, found a great setting, and I was like, oh, let me take a picture of it, because I love the sound. So now I pull up that setting, and I just adjust it, and it's perfect, you know? It's number 3, I believe, yep. So I was like, oh, yeah. At this point, man, we've been rehearsing for about a month and a half, so now it's about playing the set as the show, making sure we're tightening everything up, the feeling, the timing. We notice every little thing now. So it's about tightening things up. How does it feel? The transitions. Me thinking like, what am I going to say? The movements, practicing that.
Dress rehearsal. Right?
Dress rehearsal, you know, got to feel the vibe. You know, we're setting ourselves for a different standard here. So every time I show up somewhere, I got to look and feel the part. So that's the goal, man. Yeah, motherfuckers.
Here we go! Put your motherfucking fist in the air! Yeah! Excuse me, sir, are you talking to me? Yeah! Boy, come at me. You better brace yourself.
Yeah, bro, like,
There's days where it's just ringing. That ringing.
nah, I don't do that.
No, man, it's fun, man. Like the energy, the music, even just listening to it and to be a part of it, it makes me want to play, if that makes sense.
Nobody can save you, nobody can save you. Hey, no escape. Hey, no.
Honestly, like, I feel excited. It's like a fresh breath, like, and it doesn't feel like before, because I feel like taking it for granted. When it comes back, you got to make a conscious decision to be like, man, I know what I lost, or it could potentially be gone for any reason. So now having every opportunity, like, I want to do phenomenal. Like, I don't care whether it's a stadium or if it's a small bar, no matter who's there, if somebody's coming to hear us play, it's like, I want to be my best. And I'm thankful for that season, you know, of the pandemic, and that just us having to realize and be forced to know, like, man, this is something amazing that we should appreciate. And so now that it's back around, like, I'm excited to appreciate it. And that's doing the work inside, before rehearsal, at rehearsal, and then, you know, when you get to show that masterpiece to the crowd and share that energy, like, man, now that that experience is back, I'm so thankful and gonna take every advantage of that. So, man, it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
You know, like where I'm glad that show didn't happen originally at the Whiskey, because I feel like I was still confused within myself as who I was and am as an artist. And I was completely going on a different direction that I feel like looking now was and isn't me. So I'm glad that all that happened, and through that year of COVID and all of 2020 and experiencing the passing of my mother and the passing of many other family members of mine really put me in a position to look at my life, all of it. Not just as what I wanted to do with my music and my dreams, but who am I as a person? Who am I as a man? What am I doing with my life? What am I representing for those coming behind me? What is my legacy? What do I stand for? So for me, going through that experience of COVID, and then now the show's canceled, and then, it felt like a wave after wave, a cousin of mine in Mexico getting murdered. A week later, my grandmother passes away, my mom's mom. A month later, my grandfather passes away. The morning that I get a call that my mom gets rushed to the hospital, that same morning, my grandfather, which is her dad, passes away. I rushed to Texas, and not even a week later, my mother passes away. The next month, our longtime family dog that loved my mother passes away. A few months later in October, my aunt, my mom's younger sister, passes away. And it's one of those things like, I remember talking to my brother, and it's like, when is it going to stop? Because it feels that way. It feels like, what the fuck is happening? Yet through all these things that are going on in my personal life, I had made that decision to elevate myself in my art and feel like I need to feel confident in what I'm doing. Because deep down inside, there's been this shaky part, and I don't like that. What is it? And that's when I started to take vocal lessons. That's when I started to take more a proactive approach over my career and say, if I'm really going to do this then. Do it. But, where I am today, I feel like all that plays into my music. All that plays into who I really am as a person, as an artist, as a writer, who I've always been. Somebody that writes from something very genuine, that writes from something that is real, of what I go through. And I feel like now my challenge has been to overcome those things that sometimes make me want to be angry, or that I feel like sometimes that perception of being jaded, to change that, but choosing to still work through it, to still choose positivity, to still choose to work on my craft, and to still choose to do my best. And that's what this whole point is about, that nobody has it figured out. No matter how high you scale in life, there's still situations that you go through. There's still these things that we're going to face. There's still these deaths that we're going to face. And that's one thing that's so present that I never saw before that I see every day now, is death. The reminder, like, man, this could all be gone.
I'm literally the guy that will show up to a concert. That shit's weak. I will leave. Gladly. You just got here. I know. Bro, after we're playing, I'm gonna hang for a little bit and talk to people, and I'm out.
Oh, bro, I feel
I'm
you.
not playing, bro. We gotta keep this shit moving.
For sure.
I'm doing a nice warm up, nice and loose, bro. Don't even worry about it. You didn't give us a green room. Don't even worry about it.
When I perform, it does remind me of being in church, and the similarities for me are a lot between a sort of gospel preacher and a rock and roller, It was always fascinating to me. Like growing up as a kid, you grow up in that environment, so yeah, it becomes normal. But at first, as a kid, if I recall back to those memories, that was always so fascinating. The moment that the church started to like spike in the service, or you get people dancing, or the preacher going off or whatever, like to me what was fascinating was the energy. everybody could feel the energy change. I was like, whoa, like this is amazing, you know, or especially like even dancing. You go to a lot of Hispanic churches that are Pentecostal and there's certain songs. It's like a concert, dude. When you got so many people in one state of mind and moving, you're like, what is happening? This is amazing. This is crazy.
You start doing that shit, then it's gonna turn into like, it'll start off with like 5 pounds, then it'll go to 10.
Yeah.
Then you'll end up at 15. Then you'll end up with fucking 20-pound dumbbells on your fucking big toe, like strapped to your shit. Like, no.
Those are toe weights. I got 5 pounds each toe.
There you be talking, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
So yeah, my job is to be the foundation, play my part to make the music feel good, but I need to pay attention to him, you know, so I can go off of his energy, and if he needs a push or support, whatever he needs, I'm there to assist with that, because we want our message to get across. So I'm paying attention to a lot of things. First, going into, before I even sit down on the drums, the first thing I say to myself is like, this isn't a joke, like I'm dead serious, like it's fun, yeah, this is, but my life's on the line, because I want people to feel that energy when I'm playing. So that's first thing. It's like, this is business, this is serious. You're gonna have fun, you love it, you know that comes with it. But make sure your point is heard and people feel that. And then, you know, I'm paying attention to my bandmates, because we are communicating, even though we're not talking, through our music, through our playing, we're communicating. So I pay attention to that too. And then of course the crowd too, like, because you're having a conversation with them. You're giving them an experience. So sometimes you just need to see what's going on out there and feel that energy and then build off that. And so it's kind of like I am in drum world, but I'm in tune with everything that's going on. Like I'm the lights, the sound man, the band, but man, it never takes off of the main focus of what we're there to do. And that's for the music to be felt and heard. The goal is to put out the best product and to connect with the fans. And when you're in the right energy, the right mind, the right spirit, they can feel that through the music, you know? And you need to protect that before the show, especially. It's not the time to be getting overly drunk, overly hyped. It's time to center yourself, focus, slow things down, you know?
I hope y'all fucking ready.
Let's go!
Don't believe the fucking lies out there. The internet is your new religion. And the fucking idols in it don't give a fuck about you. So fucking rock with me.
Let's go!
Excuse me, sir, are you talking to me? Yeah. Wanna come at me? You better brace yourself, motherfucker. Talk behind your little screen, yeah. You're a man in town. You wanna make a fool out of me? I tell you all that I am. You wanna make a fool out of me? Come on. Nobody can say, nobody can say. No, no escape. Come on, Christian.
Yeah, man, I do feel like, in a way, like that's my way of preaching. That's my way of delivering a message. And to me, what always really solidified that message, whether that came from a preacher or whether that came from a rock and roller, it's the delivery. Somebody can stand up there and give a sermon and it's just so bland, or standing there, tone is whatever, compared to someone else that's more flamboyant, that emphasizes certain words about it, you know, looks at you in the eye, you know, points at you or whatever. Oh man, that message is like received, you know. So same thing in music, man. What do they say about music, man? You gotta feel it. Like people are gonna know, you know, if you're not being genuine. And so I feel like that's where one one area that I really exceed. That comes in many ways naturally, but also too, like being on the giving end of that. That's probably one of my favorite feelings, and that's why I strive to want to work to get to that next big stage, that next big festival, is to like experience and be able to say, man, I delivered a performance in a group of people or strangers like that, and they received it, you know? So thinking about moments like that, man, is what helps like push me forward.
Your freedom is being threatened. Don't sit down on the sidelines and do nothing about it. My name is Jimmy Swagg. Good night. I'm excited. I'm excited for the future, man. I'm excited of how we did tonight. It was completely different than what I was used to doing before. I would say more focused. I would say just in it. And really with the purpose of, man, whoever is there impacting, man, and I feel like I did that. So I'm gonna go hand these shirts out somehow. Hand out shirts. I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but we're doing it.
I'm not upset. It's just humbling. Like,
Yeah.
bring your hardware back, and you won't have nothing to worry about. Man, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. As you can see, I'm still enclosed, so that's how the focus was. It was just so intentional. It's the high energy. Man, it was just a great time. I feel like the audience was vibing. I felt that great energy on stage. I'm sure the band did as well. So we're just looking forward to building on this. Like, this is the type of shows that build to the arenas and the tours and all that stuff. You gotta take every show seriously and give it your best effort. And I feel like we did that tonight. So I'm excited, baby. Now who's coming home with me tonight?
It's only up from here. Up, and away.
I would say tonight was a success. I would say tonight was the best that I've sounded with the band. And yeah, the overall vibe was amazing, despite the challenges, like I said earlier, but great turnout. And now I want to get the fuck home. So, bye. Really, like I'm just a kid from Waco that loves rock and roll. That's it. I believe in rock and roll. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here doing this. I wouldn't be here suffering. I wouldn't be here living it. I'm living it. Like and that's because my first love was and is rock and roll. That's what influenced me to pick up a guitar. That's what influenced me to want to start a band. And so it's simple. I love rock and roll, and I'm from Texas, you know?